ويتلاقوا الأصحاب لهدية خلف الباب في شجرة بالدار ويدوروا ولاد صغار والشجرة صارت عيد والعيد سوارة بإيد والإيد تعلق.
So a night of feast, a night of celebration, and we're honored to have with us Dr. Freddy Elbaiady, member of the Protestant Council of Egypt. Dr. Freddy, Christmas has lots of meanings, actually, meanings of devotion, meanings of how the family would gather, meanings of greetings, and you know we need feasts that would just give us that sense of inspiration to move on, right?
Yeah, of course, Christmas has special meaning, spiritual meaning for Christians. It's the birth of Jesus Christ and the message of hope, the message of salvation of human being. And the families, the Christian families, as the Muslim families, they celebrate the feast in the same way. They have the pleasure of gathering together as families. They eat, they wear new clothes, the children enjoy going out together. So the same cultural habits of feasting together as families.
Right. Well, as we all know, there is the Christmas Mass, and we all wait for the Christmas Mass to see actually the rituals annually, and how this celebration is a source of inspiration forward. So the Christmas Mass and the prayers and the direction, let me know more about the mood in general during the Mass.
Yeah, of course, this is a very special occasion. So Christians celebrate it in the church by devotions. Different churches celebrate it sometimes different times of the week. The Orthodox Church on the 6th of January, which is the eve for the 7th of January. The Protestant Church celebrated it 3rd of January. Usually, the Protestant Church celebrates the first Sunday before 7th of January, but we all have the same day, the 7th of January, as a day of Christmas. The people like to celebrate it in a spiritual way, as I mentioned, in the church. So this Mass includes singing, includes prayers, includes thanking God for the Christmas, for the New Year, asking for blessings to Egypt and to the families and to all Egyptians. And usually it involves special prayers to Egypt and to the safety of the country and the prosperity of the country.
Right. Dr. Freddy, usually this time of the year is also the time for giving, the time for sharing. So how can we seize the opportunity of having Christmas in the air and Christmas festivities to reach to the other, to help people, to see who are the needy and try to extend the hand of support?
Yeah. Of course, the Christmas itself, its meaning is the greatest gift, the greatest gift that God gives to human being, the gift of salvation. And we remember usually and ask our children to remember that there are other people who can't enjoy the pleasure of the feast. They don't have the facilities or the money to buy new clothes or gifts or food. So it's time to remember those. To share our resources, to share our money, and we teach the children to give from their pocket money, or so that they learn the principle of giving and sharing.
Yeah. What is quite interesting this year is that we do have two feasts together, and we are both in celebration, Muslims and Christians. We have Al-Mawlid al-Nabawi with the sweets of Halawat al-Mulid, and we have the Christmas trees. Every home in Egypt, like you have both, and you enjoy the spirit of both. So this sense of Egypt in celebration, what sort of message does it direct?
Directs the message that we have the same joy together, and it's really an awesome occasion to have the two feasts coinciding together. A few days ago, we celebrated the Muhammad's birth date, Prophet Muhammad's birth date, and today we are celebrating Jesus Christ's birth date. And we both Muslims and Christians, they celebrate usually in the same way, and we share also the same feast together. Like, I remember when I was a child, I used to get the Mawlid al-Nabawi sweets, and my father used to buy us these sweets in the Mawlid al-Nabawi, and still I do it and buy it to my children. And also in the Christmas time, the Muslims share by
the Christmas tree.
The Christmas tree,
home,
yeah. So we are Egyptians. Our even our spiritual occasions or feasts, they intermingle together. We share everything with the same source. We came all from almost the same source. Most of the Egyptians, they had the same parents, the same ancestors, and we also share the same destiny. We share the same pleasures, and we suffer.
Share the love for Egypt.
Yeah, and we suffer the same pain or the same suffering. We share it together. So it's another sign that we have many things in common as Egyptians.
Right. Well, it's a time of gifts, it's a time of celebration, it's the time of a festive mood, the family gatherings, and it's also very important for feasts, you know, to have the family gathering together, to have friends saying happy feast and celebrating together. We have here more than one message on the night of Christmas and a message of celebration. Here comes from priest Behig of the St. Cathedral. Let's see his message of greetings for us tonight.
We have many feelings while we are finishing the year and starting a new year, but this year is a special case because we are celebrating as Egyptians. We are celebrating two big events, the birth of the Prophet and the Christmas. The next day will be the Christmas Eve, and this is gorgeous. I believe that it doesn't happen frequently, so we want to take this opportunity to say congratulations to every one of this Egyptian nation, this blessed Egyptian nation. I would like to say to every Egyptian that we believe in one God, and also we have the same hope that God will flourish this nation and bring us to a wonderful year with new forthcomings and blessings.
Well, we're still in the mood of celebration. Dr. Freddy, celebrating Christmas in Egypt, how far does it differ, the taste of Christmas in Egypt, from other parts of the world? Definitely, you have celebrated Christmas in other parts of the world. So how is it here? I guess it's different and meaningful.
Yeah, a few times I've been abroad. Usually I make sure that I'm inside Egypt during the feast celebration because the meaning here is different. Usually people enjoy it abroad by traveling, for example. They like to go travel somewhere away and enjoy the holiday. We tend to be together as families and friends, enjoy the pleasure of community. This is something unique about our culture, about Egypt, that people tend to enjoy. You find that the neighbors, the families, the friends, they all gather together. So usually when you share your joy with many people, the joy multiplies, the joy increases. And this is something unique about Egypt. You don't find it in other parts of the world, that everybody, the neighbors, other countries, the neighbors don't know each other. But here, when it is a feast, I find my neighbors coming and saying congratulations, giving greetings for the joy of the feast, and this gives it more joy.
Right. Does it change the rituals itself? Do they change from one cathedral to the other, and from cathedrals in Egypt to other parts of the world?
Very few things, but usually the main concept of celebration and the main idea of celebrating Christmas is the same, but very few things about the way they celebrate differs from a church to another.
Right. Does the message of Christmas differ from one year to the other?
Yes, it might differ, but usually it's still also the same concept of hope, of sharing the message of the gift of God, the message of salvation to humankind. This is the main principle and the main message of Christmas.
Yeah. When does the preparation for Christmas start? I mean, at every Christian home, when do they start preparing for Christmas annually?
Usually it's a few days before the Christmas time, and usually the Egyptians tend to leave some things till the last moment. So usually the Christmas Eve is the busiest day. So you find people are busy in the Christmas Eve preparing food and preparing for guests coming and families meeting. So probably the busiest day would be the Christmas Eve.
Yeah, the lessons from the journey of Jesus Christ, and definitely lessons learned are usually revived during those times, the time of Christmas and on the birth date.
Yeah. The lessons given, main lesson is that God cares about the world, and Christians believe that God came himself incarnated in Jesus Christ to save the world, and God is interested in mankind, and he was able to do anything to save mankind and save the human beings from sin, and whoever believes in him would be saved. This is the main message. And also the message of how the miraculous birth of Jesus Christ, and he was born from Virgin Mary. And it's something that didn't happen.
The whole chapter in the Holy Quran, dedicated and devoted.
Yes, and there is no other person that was had the same way of birth, coming to the world the same way. And he was also unique in the way he lived, the way he taught. So this is all a great message of having Jesus Christ's life, and it's worth is reviving and studying it and learning many lessons of it.
All right. We're always also focusing about, usually in religious occasions, on the religious discourse and how can we reform the religious discourse further and achieving a sense of, interreligious faith. Well, how do you view the role that is played by both Al-Azhar and the Church today in order to achieve this aim?
I believe some work is going on, but still much more work needs to be done from both institutions, the Church and Al-Azhar, because reformation and renewal of the religious discourse is needed for all religions. It's not only about a single religion, but every religion has always to. It's not about changing the main principles of the religion, because there are some constant principles that will never be changed with time. But the way we interpret it and the way we put it in the current context and how these written verses has to be interpreted in a new context, in the way it was written in a different context and now we are in another context. The principles don't change, but the interpretation changes. And the direct thing that was let's say the holy verses or the things that was direct commands by God, they don't change. But the way that people interpret these things thousands of years ago, we cannot use it the same way. We cannot use the same interpretation because the times change, the place changed, the technology changed, and many things changed around us. So we need to have a new reading, a new interpretation, not a new religion. Some people misunderstand when we speak about reformation of religious discourse. They think invent a new religion. This is not what it's meant for. But this has to be done. And since some resistance, some people, they have the fundamental way of thinking thousands of years ago, and they want to keep the way of interpreting the religion as it was interpreted thousands of years ago from different religions. So those people has to open their minds more and has to rethink and renew the way they interpret the religion.
Definitely. Well, we're still in the mood of celebration, celebrating Christmas in Egypt. We have with us a very promising soprano, Dalia Farid, and Dalia is going to perform right now also some Christmas carols. Let us listen to Dalia, and we'll be back with more discussion with Dr. Freddy, so wait for us. So celebrating any sort, Dr. Freddy, of a religious event has like two sides, a religious side and also a cultural one.
Sure.
So the cultural side of our celebration tonight.
The cultural side is the Egyptian culture. So there is no different Christian culture, but Christians have their specific way of the spiritual or religious celebration side. But in the cultural side, usually the New Year's, some people gather in the New Year's Eve, in the Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Over dinner, they have a meal together. Some people, some families will gather at the Christmas Day over lunch and they have a meal together. The children will have new clothes mostly. They will get gifts.
Feel the beat of the feast.
Yeah. They will get gifts. Sometimes they get the gifts at the Christmas tree.
In Muslim feasts, there is usually a idea or sum of money.
Yes, of course, we do have idea too.
Idea
Sure.
Okay.
The same concept. So it's almost the same Muslim or Christian way of celebration. It's an Egyptian way of celebration. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Also, leading by example is very important. Like we see the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Dr. Al-Taib, was keen to lead a high-level delegation and to congratulate Pope Tawadros II on the occasion of Christmas. And you know, this is signifying, yes, how Egypt is unified. And this is a message to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Giving more examples of that, I guess, is very important and sends a message abroad.
Yeah, of course, this kind of movement, the Grand Imam as a symbol of the highest Islamic institute, going to the Pope, who is also a symbol of the Christian Church. This gives a message to the fundamental people who have some callings that you can't congratulate Christians for their faith, or some things we never heard about before in our culture, in our Egyptian life together. We used to live together, Christians and Muslims, and long years ago there were Jewish too in Egypt, and they were, or I don't recall the time that we were Jewish in Egypt, but I recall that the people who said that they used to share the feast together as Egyptians. They didn't care about whose religions of each one, but they care about this is an Egyptian family enjoying a special occasion or a special day, so we are going to share the joy with them. So this message of the leaders celebrating or congratulating each other, and we see the same time during the Muslim feasts that the leaders of the church go and they congratulate the Grand Imam as a symbol of the Islamic Institute. It gives the same message that we all have to share together the same joy of celebration.
Right. Well, on more than one occasion, we always feel this sense of mutual respect between us, and we do feel this sense of keenness on addressing the other. Dr. Freddy, you were talking about that there is a lot yet to be done in that area. Your suggestions and your vision in that regard?
I believe we have to work more on the ground level. We have very good speeches at the top leaders level. We see that, as just mentioned, that Grand Imam is meeting with the Pope, and we as a Protestant church, we also go and meet with the Grand Imam, and we have very nice words, but this is not always coming down to the ground level. And I believe in order to change this, the first thing we have to work is on education.
Right.
We need to reform the education system totally. Reforming not only the curriculums, but the quality of training of teachers, the quality of schools. We will not have a reformation for this country until we reform the education. And I believe this has to be the mega investment and the mega development in the country. And it was investing billions of dollars in this project of reforming education. Because if we do this, we will invest in the coming generations. It might not be a short-term outcome, might be a long-term process, but it's a necessary project, and we have to start it now.
Right, and we can have like short-term goals and long-term work on them and focus on them
Yeah,
gradually.
but of course, in order to see a newly educated generation who is educated in a different way, it has to be, you will wait at least 20 years. But we will get a different country, we'll get a different generation that's going to change everything in this country.
Right. Let us talk more about community service, and I guess that you're quite engaged in that respect, and also engaging the youth. The President is always talking about youth and leadership and investing in Egypt's treasure. The youth themselves, so engaging them also in that regard, I guess it's quite, it would be quite appealing for the message to be reached.
Yeah, community work, and you're just speaking about the interreligious dialogue, and I believe that, and I spoke in different national, international religious dialogue conferences, and I usually say to this that the dialogue has to go out of the closed air-conditioned rooms. It has to go down to the street. And I have this experience, which I started 16 or 17 years ago, by starting a charity hospital. The building was owned by the church, but we started to have Christian-Muslim team working together.
Great, hands-on.
Yeah. The staff, they are mixed staff, they both Christians and Muslims, the doctors and the nurses and the employees. We have like 70% Muslims and 30% maybe Christians. We don't have a fixed number, but of course we serve everybody. But what was unique about this place is that having both Christians and Muslims working together. They all work on volunteer basis. And we called it Salam Medical Center. You know, Salam is peace in Arabic. So we try to present the peaceful...
A model of national unity.
Yeah, national unity and national peaceful relation and healthy relation between Christians and Muslims. And by this way, people tend to understand each other way more. They break the ice. They correct the stereotypes that they might have for each other. And this is very, very successful because by the time people get to work together and they mingle together as a team, helping the community, they start to know each other more.
They give a role model actually for global peace. And that is what is aspired.
And this experiment actually has been also a model to other countries I know who started to implement the same project.
Which other countries that you're speaking about, Dr. Freddy, that followed suit of this example in Egypt and had an example of the same model there in their countries today?
I know in Jordan they started something like this between Christian and Muslims working together. In Egypt, some other hospitals in Egypt who started to incorporate the same idea of Christians and Muslims working together. It was interesting. I was in one of the international dialogues last year in Beirut, and a Saudi person came to me and said, why not to come to Saudi Arabia? We want to start something like this between Sunni and Shia in Saudi Arabia. So we have this idea of working together, people from different backgrounds. When they work together, the outcomes are completely different.
Right. How about working on children, working on children in that respect and, you know, engaging them hands-on also in other experiences, learning how to work in a team, training centers? How does it work? And have you seen this experience in other countries?
Yeah, this is very necessary thing. And when I speak about reforming the education, I'm not speaking about reforming the information children receive in schools, but the behavior and the way they interact with the community. And this is something that has to be taught in the schools. Children has to learn that they have to, how they can share in building their country, how they can contribute in charity work. Not many schools who have the ability to have such programs of implementing in their curriculums. But this is something necessary. We need to implement it in the children so that when they grow up, they will have the spirit and the principle of sharing, of giving, of loving each other, helping the community, finding out where the needs of the community, whether it is health needs or education needs or poverty. We have many needs in our country, but some sincere people to think how they can fulfill these needs and meet it.
Right. Dr. Freddy, concerning children and the message of Christmas, you know, grown-ups usually when they are in the church, they they get the message easily. So, but it is having responsibility now for the parents to transmit the message to their kids.
True.
So how does this, how did this go? And at the same time, what are usually the children's questions concerning the message of the Christmas messages through the carols and more?
Yeah, I believe the way children think now is different than the way we used to think when we were children years ago. Now they have more questions. They don't accept the direct teaching. They're just giving them information, but they keep asking why and how. We used to ask these questions when we were teenagers, but they ask it when they are starting from 5 years old. So they have questions about Christmas and the meaning of Christmas. The churches sometimes have programs for children, teaching them some Bible lessons and religious lessons. And the families, also some families are able to do this and to teach their children about this.
Right. Well, let's have a break and have more from our soprano tonight, Dalia Farid. This interview coming up on the occasion of Christmas, and we'll be back.
See a group of singers who are coming from different backgrounds, who belong to different age groups, and who all love to sing. So we have a singer, Fadia, she's only 13, and we have people, I will not say whose name it is, who are like 62, and we all come from even different musical backgrounds. Someone like George Gamel has an opera background, but we all love to praise God, and we all love to celebrate Christmas. And this is what you'll be hearing tonight, is different Christmas carols, different worship songs, and etc.
We know that you are the owner of this idea, the initiative. You took the initiative to do this event. Can you please talk to us about how did you get this idea?
Well, Christmas is very important, and it's celebrated every year. And every cathedral should have a choir to kind of just bring in the holiday season and the spirit of love and of festivities. So what we did was just do something that's pretty obvious. Me and George Kolta, the music director and conductor, and it's been going fine. We started only like 3 months or 4 months ago, and this is the first legitimate concert for us. So I hope people enjoy it and stuff.
What are your greetings for next year?
We have an Easter concert coming up to celebrate Easter, and then we will have Christmas, Easter, Christmas, and the year just goes. Every season is different. What we're hoping for really is to have what we love is that we are Arabic speakers, but we also speak English. Some of us speak French, some of us speak Spanish. And some of us are Sudanese. We have Yom and Beatrice and Anglos, and they're all from South Sudan. So we want to introduce different styles. Not just Occidental, like the Western style, but we also want to insert the Oriental style into our worship and our music. So, yeah.
Thank you for joining us on Nile TV, Dalia, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
So, Dr. Freddy, this amount of interfaith coexistence illustrated on both the leadership and the people's levels. Definitely, when this is circulated, I guess it has a very good impression abroad. You visit lots of countries. Tell us more about this sense of message and how the reception itself of this message and this sense of unity in Egypt.
Of course, you know that when you travel, you meet with people who haven't heard about Egypt before, or they have some wrong stereotypes about when they hear about the accidents happening from time to time. They will think that Egypt is involved in terrorism or under attack of terrorism all day and night. But when they hear the message that there is some peaceful relations and some good relations between Egyptians, regardless of their religion, either Christians or Muslims, and we are working together. We live together in one building or one street, and they start to change the way they think about the country, and they get impressed. I've been invited to some international conference to speak about how we live together and how our experience as in charity work or helping in offering quality health care to the community through volunteer work. And most of the people get very impressed. And I've spoken also some media outside in radio and television about the same idea. So it's kind of changing the way people think about Egypt. And I've invited also some friends from abroad to come, and some of them come and visit Egypt and see this in action. They don't only hear about it, but they see it, and when they see it, they become messengers when they go back and they tell about it to others. I believe this is how we should change the way that people think about our country, about our relations together.
Right. Dr. Freddy, the culture of volunteering that you're talking about, how can we have more of that in the country? How can we encourage the youth to be hands-on and encourage every family actually to raise their kids with this sense of the love for being a volunteer?
It has to be implemented in the children at their early days. From the families have to teach their children that it's not only about taking your rights, but it's also about giving. It's also about sharing. You have to give away some things. You have to give to others. And the school also have to have their programs of sharing in the community. And I've seen this in some schools abroad and few schools in Egypt, that they have programs of community help. From time to time, they present a charity to the children, and they ask them to give from their pocket money. Even if it's a little amount of money, it's not going to be of much help to this charity, but it just starts to teach them the principle and the idea of giving and sharing and helping. This is actually very helpful when they grow up with this idea. And also when they see examples of charity work and how this charity organization or that one is helping the community, and poor people who can't access health care or can't access good education, they are getting service for free or at affordable prices. When they see this example in action, they start to be encouraged to be part of this.
Right. We say always that leadership by example is the best form of leadership. So providing this sense of example, how does it coincide with how the priests preach, you know, at the church? Tell us more about this sense of leading by example inside.
I agree with you completely, is leading and teaching by example. And this is the same thing that's applied to families as parents. If parents are teaching their children about honesty all the time, and then they see their parents are lying or cheating, then whatever you say is not going to be received by children. But when they see that their parents are actually honest and they tell the truth, the children learn the same. And it's the same thing about the religious leaders. If they have this discrepancy about what they say from what they do, then people are not going to follow them, not going to learn from them. And human beings are human beings. They are not all perfect. So we have some religious leaders who have this kind of discrepancy from teaching about what they do. But when they get to have a close gap or absence of gap between what they say and what they do, then we have a person of integrity, a person who is a real leader and who would be really impressive and who can change people when they see his life is different. And remembering Christmas, this is another lesson we learn from Jesus Christ, that he didn't actually teach many things. He didn't preach a lot. He didn't have a cathedral that he was speaking from. He could have done this, but he taught by living together. He chose 12 disciples, and he started to show them how the way he lived, and they started to follow him, and they learned it from the living example.
Yeah.
So this is another lesson we will learn from Christmas.
Definitely. Another break, and it's still the mood and the beat of celebration, and we're still celebrating Christmas in Egypt.
So this is Christmas.
So more from the Christmas message, we always remember the trip of the Holy Family, Dr. Freddy, and messages, noble messages actually, and lessons learned.
Yeah. It's actually interesting that at that time the Holy Family, they flee from Palestine, from Bethlehem, Palestine, because the king wanted to kill all the children, so they flee to Egypt for security, for peace in Egypt.
Yeah, for safety.
For safety in Egypt, yeah. And actually my prayer is that Egypt will remain a safe place. It is safe, and it has been safe through the years. And I believe that it will be safe in the future, because the safety is in God, and God who guarantees this safety. It's not the systems or the rulers who guarantee the safety, but God who guarantees the safety and the peace to the country. So my prayers is the child of Christmas who sought peace in Egypt, and safety. It will still be a country of safety for everybody, for Egyptians and for others. And I also pray for that safety in the whole world, not only in the Middle East area, but the whole world is suffering now from the terrorism, the lack of safety. It's a need, and I believe that God, who gave the safety 2,000 years ago to Jesus Christ, he still can guarantee safety to everyone today.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Freddy Elbaiady, member of the Protestant Council of Egypt, for joining us on Christmas night. Actually, Merry Christmas, Dr. Freddy, to you and to your loved ones, and to Egypt at large. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. You are welcome. Merry Christmas to you and to every Egyptian and to all humankind.
Thank you so much. Well, Merry Christmas from Egypt to the whole world, a message of hope, a message of love on the occasion of Christmas. We are celebrating Christmas here in Egypt. We hope that we just brought you more with the beat of Christmas in the country. The episode finished up, but however, the beat of Christmas still continues, and Egypt is still in celebration throughout this night on Christmas night. Many happy returns and Merry Christmas to everyone.